Shalom. All praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, where I learned this truth from. Much respect to the brothers that are out there preaching and teaching the truth worldwide across the four corners of the earth, risking their lives and freedom for this truth. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, the house of David, and the occupant Akwaf that might be listening to this lesson on today. This is your brother Abad Yabah coming through with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. And the title of my lesson is There Are Demons Trying to Take Us Out. Now, demon possession is defined as a rare spiritual phenomenon where an evil spirit exerts control over a person's body or faculties, often manifesting in physical, mental, or behavioral changes. With that being said, we know just through our experiences, just through being on this journey and this truth, that these particular possessions happen. That's why we have to hold tight to the scriptures and understand that we're not always fighting against somebody physically when things happen. More often than not, it could be those demons on that person that can cause you to come against them or them to come against you. Ephesians 6:12 reads, it says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places," which lets us know that sometimes when you're dealing with someone, it ain't that person. They have demons on them, and none of us are too high or are perfect to where we cannot be dealt with possessions. So that's why we have to make sure that daily that we're examining ourselves. 2 Corinthians 13:5 reads, it says, "Examine yourselves, whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye are not your own selves, but that Yahweh Shah HaMashiach is in you, except ye be reprobates." So we have to make sure that we're in this faith and that we believe in and that we're trusting in Yahweh Bashim Shai, because these demons are going about and they want to destroy us. They want to make sure that we're not going to get to be in the position that we desire to be. They want us to fail. They want us to be in that lake of fire when Yahweh Shah comes back. They want us to be destroyed, and they want us to not do the work because they don't want people to know. They don't want people to be warned. They don't want people to come into this faith themselves. They want to make sure, and that's their job. They're doing their job, and that's why we have to be on our job. 1 Peter 5:8 reads, it says, "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour." And that's when someone is being devoured, they're being killed. So it's not about no games out here. So you got to take this seriously when you're doing this work, when you're taking care of your Father's business. It's about being sincere. And I'm speaking to myself when I say this. It's not that I'm thinking myself as too high or thinking myself as high in this. I know that we can all be taken out if we lose the faith, if we don't have the faith. It's all cumulative. We got to make sure that we're doing the work in truth and sincerity, because we can all be succumbed to certain possessions, as Judas was when he gave up Yahushua. He was possessed, and it wasn't that he did that on his own strength, and he wasn't the only disciple that demons were trying to come after. I got a scripture coming from Luke 22:31, and it reads, it says, "And the Lord said, Simon, Simon," and he's talking to Peter, "behold, Satan hath desired to have you, that he may sift you as wheat." So when you are, the higher you get in this truth, meaning that the more knowledge and wisdom that you get, the more you desire it. And by the devil, by the demonic forces and Shaitan himself, to where he wants you to be destroyed. He's that's his job. To we can't take this lightly. We can't expect this to be an easy ride, because Yahweh didn't have an easy ride when he was here. He had to do multiple miracles as far as to get rid of demons out of people. He had to do a multitude of things, as far as his service, going about his father's business. And why would we think that we're better or more than Yahushua? So we know that it's going to be some attacks. We know that there's going to be things that's going to happen. We know that there's going to be trials and tribulations. So thinking not strange when things come about. We have to keep pushing. We have to keep believing, and we have to understand that it's not about us. It's about doing the work. It's about being about our Father's business, because these are the times that we're in, that we have to be strong, that we have to have that wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And it comes from the scriptures. It comes from us fasting. It comes from us, praying without ceasing, because there's things that we have and don't have that we know that we need to pray for. And we have to go about this the right way. James 4:7 reads, it says, submit yourselves therefore to Yahweh, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. So that means that, the things that we interact with on a daily basis, we have to make sure that we keep our eyes single, and we're focused on the work that we're doing. There's many temptations out there. There's many things that could try to get us distracted, confused. We have to make sure that we're focused. And if you're focused on doing the work, if you're focused on taking care of your Father's business, then it will be to where it's not so hard to do the work. But it's not saying that the work is going to be easy. That's not what this is about. This is letting you know, this is a warning to myself and to all that are listening and are learning, that there's devils out there. That's their job, to take us out. That's their job, to get us off. When Satan went to Yahweh Shem Yahushua, and Yahweh Shem Yahushua was telling him about Job, he had to ask for permission. And that's what, we know that the demons have to do. They have to ask for permission, because Yahweh Shem Yahushua is in control of everything. But the thing about it is that he's doing his job. He's going to do his job. He's going to test us. And it's a testament of our faith. It's a testament of what we have learned up until this point, with the wisdom and knowledge and understanding that we do have, to know that Yahweh Shem Yahushua is not going to ever put more on us than what we can bear. And if he does, he's going to give us a way to escape. That's roughly paraphrasing the scripture. But we have to do the work. We have to be in this with truth and sincerity. And it's not something that we can pick up and put down when we want to. We have to make sure that we're constantly growing and constantly getting stronger in this, because it's, the more you elevate, the more they're going to try to take you out. And I mean those demons. 1 Timothy 4:1 reads, it says, now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. So in these times, some just gonna, fall out of this truth. They're gonna turn away from the true doctrine. They're gonna turn away from Yahweh Shem Yahushua, because they're gonna follow those deceptive spirits. They're gonna follow, those rumblings in their head, and those things that are telling them that this is not it. This is not what you should believe in. This is, and as you continue to be of the world, you're gonna be ultimately in the world. So that's why we have to make sure that we're focused, and that we're constantly studying, that we're constantly praying and fasting, because once those demons start attacking you, you don't really realize, what's going on. You end up having a reprobate mind. You end up falling into your own understanding, and then you can't get out of it. And if you do, it's by the grace of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, You know, there's too many uh, basically examples of brothers, former members, of GMS falling out. And we can't allow ourselves to feel like we're better, or that we're exempt. So we have to learn from others, and also learn from the brothers that have come before us, that have been teaching. The apostles been teaching for uh, you know 30 plus years. There's elders that are out here that have been teaching for a multitude of years, countless, what I'm saying, to where we have to look to those brothers when we're dealing with things, and know that we are not uh, above being dealt with. you know that's why we have to continually work, fast, pray, follow the law, statutes, and commandments. What I'm saying, read the scriptures, and get stronger, because we can't allow this to overtake us. you know like I said, there's scriptures in the Bible, that where Yahushua had to take demons out of people, remove demons, rebuke them. And then, what I'm saying, there's scriptures, and I'm gonna read one to you right quick, to let you know that Yahushua's name, is powerful. That's why we have to know the true names. That's what's the importance. People say, well, I don't know the names, and it's not even really that important. Why is it not? Because if you understand what this is all about spiritually, and if you're spiritually connected, you have to know the names. The names are super important. And if you're not using the real names, and you expect to come out of a situation, you need to know who you're calling on. You need to know your father, uh, Abba Yahweh. You need to know who your big brother's name is, Yahweh Shai. You need to know what they mean. You need to know those particular things, and that is just the beginning of this. You can't be multitude of years and not knowing who you're calling on, and who. There's no relationship there if you don't know the names, and the names are important. uh, and that's why we have to make sure that we're once again examining ourselves. I'm gonna read one example to where uh, the disciples, were allowing uh, themselves to be used, and saying that the names are important. Yahushua's name is important. Luke 10:17 reads, it says, and the 70 returned again with joy, saying, Lord, even the devils are subject unto us through thy name. So when those devils are coming against you and you're dealing with devils, you call out that name. You call out Yahushua, in the name of Yahushua. You don't just sit there and just deal with it, because you don't have the strength to do it. You're not spiritually capable without the names, without the true names. And you need, the true names in order to make those demons depart from you and leave you alone, in order to bring demons out. What I'm saying? You don't know who might be around you that might have them on. You got to rebuke them in Yahushua's name, and you got to make sure that you're believing. That's why I said you have to examine yourself to make sure that you're in the faith, and know who you dealing with on a day-to-day basis, because there's people that are out here making it seem like they're prophets, making it seem like they truly know uh, uh, the true doctrine, and they're out here being false prophets. you know Colossians 2:8, for example. Let me read that scripture right quick, and then go into that. It says, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Hamashiach. So that's why it's important who you listen to. You can't listen to everybody. And that's why you focus on those that got you here. You know what I'm saying? Focus on, and when you get strong enough in the faith and you get strong enough spiritually to where you can, like not necessarily listen to, but see what's going on in other camps and stuff like that. But you don't just start off and you don't just, go and delve off into other because that'll get you confused and that'll get you crossed up. And then you'll be caught up to the point to where now you don't know who to believe. That's why, when I first started listening, I was listening to Elder Manat Zaba, and he was like, don't listen to anybody else but one camp. If you listen to GMS per se, then you just listen to GMS. Don't be trying to listen to all these different camps and then you get all crossed up and then you don't know what to believe. You'll get crossed up. So that's why you have to stay focused, stay on one particular path, stay on that path and continue to press forward each and every day, because these demons are out here trying to take us out and they don't care who you are. They're just like Yahweh Shem Yahushua is not a respected person. Those demons are not. They're here to do a job, and we have to make sure that we're on our job and making sure that we're taking care of business on a daily basis, because otherwise we can find ourselves out of this truth. And then when Yahushua comes back, it's not going to be time for us to try to figure it out at that point in time. We should already know, and we should already have ourselves together at this point in time and continue to do the work, because this is what is required of us. This is our reasonable service. So as we know, it doesn't matter where you're at in this truth. It doesn't matter where you're at spiritually. The demons are going to mess with you. But the higher you get, the higher level the demons are. And they will try to destroy you. They will try to take you out. And it's nothing you can do if you don't have the right names, if you don't have the true relationship with Yahweh Shem Yahushua, if you're not sincere, if you're just out here just filling squares, and if you're out here just, being lukewarm, if you're out here, being cold, when those demons start tearing you up, then that's not the time to start begging and pleading. You should already have a mindset, a kingdom mindset, to want to be better day in and day out, and to not be destroyed here in these latter days by demons, because you have not done the work and you have not put forth the effort to have a relationship with Yahweh Shem Yahushua. So with that being said, I pray that all were listening were edified, and then always in the conclusion of my lessons, I give all praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ruach HaKodesh. And until my next lesson, Shalom.